Hello, I'm Kevin Tame, and welcome to The Hacktivist. Today I'm playing the Control Max deck that Jesse Vandover showed me, and I'm going to be playing someone who's playing the Foundry. My opponent asked me specifically for advice at the beginning of the game. He said, hey, can you hold on and give me some advice afterwards? And so that's part of the reason why I'm sharing this specific video. And what I'm going to do my best to talk about my lines of play, but also his lines of play. I can't see his hand, so it's kind of hard for me to give him the best advice, but I'll do my best to kind of talk about both lines of play. So let's jump right into the match. I don't have a great starting hand here, and so I take a mulligan because I want to see econ early. I want to see sure gambles. I want to see liberateds, and stuff like that. That just makes my job a lot easier. So this wasn't itself another great starting hand, but it has the Satcon and the Street Peddler, so that's not bad. So my initial plan here is kind of see what he does, what he ices up, and then start drawing for economy or to see what card I get. So he puts a card out here. I'm assuming it's probably some sort of asset. So I have a Tapworm on the board, which is good. So I want to get my Tapworm set up. So I run R&D. I got to run a Central. I'm not going to trash Daily Business Show. I can't afford it right now. I then am going to pop Tapworm. That was a bit of a misplay where it was just suboptimal, where I should have drawn first and then done that stuff, because I drew my third click and it's just not as good. He snuck out an agenda there early on, which I was a little surprised by. And here what I'm doing is I'm just drawing up to find any pieces that I can. I go ahead and play a Hacktivist because if he's playing any assets, I want to kind of punish him for that. Yeah, smart move. Go ahead and you want to clear that Tapworm. The Tapworm makes me a ton of money, so I think it's important for corps to always do that. And so here I am once again just drawing up, playing sure gamble, getting my same old thing down, because the same old thing is important for my levy. And it's a matter of time for me to establish my economy. So what I'm doing here is I want to run early in case he has like Fairchild 3 or any Biroid ice that I can click through. Once again, I see an Adonis. I can trash it, but I think Hacktivist is actually better, because if he reses it, then he trashes a card. So here it looks like he's on a next suite, so I know that he's going to be playing next dice. Now, he was on 6 credits, and that cost him 3 to res. I don't know if that's the best play, because it doesn't really punish me. Like, it doesn't hurt me. It doesn't, give me damage. And it actually puts him at a disadvantage to go that low, because now he can't res Adonis. And so he's taking some inefficient moves by having to click up. This server 3, I know it's the Daily Business Show because I saw it, or I'm assuming it's the Daily Business Show. Here's another, I think, misplay on his part by resing this next silver. The worst thing that it does is it costs me 2 credits, but it costs him 3. And there are a chance that I do see an agenda, but I think what he wants to do is kind of get his economy established sooner, so that he's able to kind of stabilize here. Me, I've pressured him enough, which is good, because now that I've shown him the pressure, he is now really poor, and it's going to force him to have to click up a bunch. I'm not really getting Tapworm money, so he's not going to purge it right now. If he starts making a ton of money, I think it would be wise for him to purge it and kind of get through it. But it's kind of hard at this point because I got another Satcon down. I'm sitting here pretty good. To me, my goal here is to get a Ma down. And with Max, what I want to do is I want to start pressuring R&D. Because what that means is I get to see the next card that he's going to get. I also then mill a card from HQ, which is ideal. So putting the single accesses that I want to do are on R&D as much as possible. So here it costs me 2. I go in, I see a card, and then I get a Ma trigger. So I see a Lab Dog, which is good. I go in and I check my archives to see if there's anything in there. I just kind of wanted to also get a look to see what ice and what things that I'm dealing with. And I'm running HQ because I want to know what the card is in here to kind of just keep track of everything. This right here was actually an illegal play on his part. I mentioned this, but he didn't catch that I was talking to him. So with Hacktivist, it is a required, you have to be able to trash. It's a must trash. And so when he only had, when he res those two things, he had to have two cards in hand and he only had one. So he was only able to res one of them. I was just kind of like, whatever. And I just continued playing the game. So my strategy here is to just keep hitting R&D and milling stuff. This is a really interesting play. What happened here is he mod Director Haas. And I don't know if this is a glitch in JNet or if this is the actual ruling, but since it was trashed, I got the 2 points. So that was a really great thing for me. Instant 2 points for a Maw trigger. If anyone has found out that that's not the way that's supposed to be played, let me know. Here he's now starting to get his economy on board, and I think this ice was a misplay. What he should have done was protected his centrals, because that's where I am pressuring him the most. I'm not trashing his daily business show, I'm letting it fire, and so him icing that is spreading his ice thinner. He should have put it over R&D, and then that one, when I hit R&D, it will fire his ability so he can get more ice. And also, I'm doing most of my damage through R&D by pressuring his centrals. So he wants to start icing that up and turtling up a bit. So now he's here on 20 credits. This might have been the time that he needs to start purging, because Tapworm is basically maintaining my economy. It's keeping me going. I went from start of turn, I was on 7 credits to 12 credits, which is pretty good. I was a little surprised by this Labradog, because I had seen one and I just kind of had forgot about it. But it's okay. Because I have a SatCon, SatCon allows me to protect my Maw. So that felt pretty good. And now what I want to do is get another Maw trigger. And so I go ahead and I run R&D here, because it's the same kind of rhythm. Is if he's letting me into R&D, then I want to keep hitting it with Maw to get the Maw trigger and then see the card on R&D. I hit 2 Lab Dogs, so that was kind of unfortunate, losing my Maw. But it's not too bad, because I'm at the end of my deck. I have 2 same old things. I get to levy this next turn and set myself back up. Unfortunately for him, I was able to see that agenda there on the top and close out the game. The way these max decks work is all off of single axes, and it's just you're setting up faster than the corp can. And if they start building a remote and start scoring out of a remote, you're just locking them out of that remote. The other thing you do is you try and get Clot on Street Peddler so that they can't fast advance out of, and you have the SatCons to keep it on the board. I think the misplays from my opponent was rezzing his ice too early. It's better to either just click for credits, and you got to get the number one thing you have to do is get your economy going early, so that when you do res your ice, you can afford it and it doesn't put you down far enough where you can't be able to res other things. Because what I did is I kept charging into HQ and R&D for pretty cheap, and the downside was pretty low for me. So my rule of thumb as a corp is if I can't afford to res the ice in that moment, I have to have a pretty compelling reason to res it. So for example, let's say I have some, an Ichi, which costs 5, and the person doesn't have a way to deal with Ichi. They're like on last click or something like that. and they have no killers to protect or sentry breakers. And so what I would do is I would res Ichi there, even if it kind of made me poor, because that's really disruptive because it could trash 2 of their programs. But when it's just a simple ETR ice like that one, which costs 3, which is not terribly expensive, but expensive enough where it puts you down where you can't res your Adonis and then all of those other pieces. So that's my one piece of advice for that game is don't go too poor. For Max, just did what Max does is sets up fast and runs and does these get wins off of single accesses. Well, thanks so much for watching this. If you have any feedback for me or any questions, please comment below, and have a great rest of your day. Thanks.